Chris Brown, he had the call. The Bills win in Jacksonville. It's Buffalo Bills Football Monday, Victory Monday, brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. And Chris's appearance brought to you by Northwest Bank, by Northtown Volkswagen, Western New York's #1 VW dealership. Shop online at northtownvw.com. And by Lockport Outdoor Store, high-impact gear for hardworking men and women. He joins us on the Western Hotline. Chris, welcome back. What a game. It's funny, as we're walking around, I'm out in our offices here between segments, and there's a feeling of course, the thrill of the victory, but also looking back at, that's stressful. This was an intense fourth quarter and a heck of a game.
Yeah, that was basically me with 58 minutes of tension built up, all being exuded and expressed in 10 seconds. I felt like a hot air balloon the whole game. Because this is how these games go, and your heart's in your throat for most of it. And I think we were all feeling it, whether you were in Jacksonville yesterday or watching on the television or listening on the radio. So,
yeah.
Fortunately, it went their way.
Bills get the win, and along the way, we see it's another vintage Josh Allen game. He was sharp. He was dialed in throughout. And, I feel like, Chris, the experience of watching Allen is watching, of course, a great player. But there is an added level to watching him do whatever it takes to take a million shots and still be the guy that you can count on.
Yeah, he's like Rocky Balboa, except he's ridiculously gifted and super talented because he just keeps coming back for more. And it was a little disappointing to see some Jaguars defenders purposely trying to hurt him yesterday. It kind of harkened back to what I remember from the January 2018 playoff game when Jaguars defenders were clearly headhunting Bills offensive players in that game. So unfortunately, that organization has a history of having players play dirty at times and try to intimidate you. I mean, they purposely tried to hyperextend his leg on the goal line carry early in the game. Josh Hines-Allen pretended it was innocuous, but literally sat on Josh's head, dropped his full body weight on his helmet while his head was on the ground. So it was just a lot of garbage. And, it'd be nice if the league could police that a little bit better in the moment because it was disappointing. And, the league likes to protect their stars. They did not do a good job of that yesterday.
He's like is he Rocky in Drago's body? Is that the right comparison there?
Yeah, that might be appropriate. Yeah, busting all the meters on all the measurement devices, right?
Yeah, that throw, Chris, to Cooks in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's got to be on the list. I think of one of his all-time throws in this uniform.
Yeah, I mean, I said it on the broadcast immediately. I said that was ridiculous because he's got a free runner coming right in his face, and that was near sideline for us. And to see him let it go off his back foot, so he didn't have any opportunity to step into the throw. And I'm sure a lot of people have gone back and looked at the replay. When it is leaving his hand, Cooks is between two defenders. The funny thing is the defenders believe he's throwing the route to the corner near the sideline because there's no way anyone believes a quarterback is going to be throwing that thing 35 yards down the field off their back foot. So they drive the shallower route. And because of that, Cooks is wide open because they're like, oh, nobody can put that there off their back foot, and Josh just does. That was a ridiculous play, and it really turned that drive into a true scoring drive there at the end.
Chris Brown joining us, recapping Bills-Jaguars. Chris, I also think I've been trying to say a number of different ways that, giving up 24 points doesn't always look like a defensive masterclass. And I think in the NFL these days, teams get their points. It's a play callers league. It's an offensive league. But I thought the Bills defense, start to finish, they gave up a couple of drives, sure. But start to finish, I thought it was a great game from this Bills defense.
Yeah, it was a very good performance. I think they limited the breakout runs by Trevor Lawrence, who set a career high this year for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. He had to be a consideration with his legs, and it'll be no different this week with Bo Nix. So I thought they at least kept it from getting out of control. He had a couple of runs, but he didn't kill them. And then the pass defense was outstanding. Just the way they changed the picture pre-snap to post-snap. I think a lot has been made about how the Jaguars get up to the line of scrimmage before 15 seconds are left on the play clock, so Liam Cohen can talk to Trevor Lawrence in his headset and tell him what he's looking at, similar to what McVay did with Jared Goff his first year together. Bills changed the picture post-snap, and he got crossed up a few times. He still made a few plays, but I think they had him confused on a few occasions, and it made the difference. And it was nice to see that they were still able to do that to some degree, even after Jordan Poyer left the game and Jordan Hancock had to come in for him.
Right, doing it with, you've got Hancock on the field on that last play. Shaq Thompson, you go back to the beginning of the season, and Trey White on that last play, and before that. He was great all game. And we had talked about with you, like, no Max Hairston, the impact that could be, and he was rotating with White anyway. It's, I think, an awesome story, and I think also is giving people a lot of confidence for the next week and beyond, just knowing that Trey White's been really performing at this level since at least the midpoint of the season.
Yeah, since week 6, he has the lowest completion percentage allowed in the league. He came into the game yesterday at 30.8% allowed, and I think he was third in passer rating allowed. And Christian Benford on the other side was first in passer rating allowed since week 6, and I think he was second in completion percentage allowed. So very quietly, this pass defense has really had this thing on lockdown, particularly over the last month and a half. And that was the message that Bobby Babich gave to his team the night before the game. He basically told them, everybody's forgotten about you guys. So you need to do some reminding that you've played damn good down the last 6 weeks of the season, and it's time to remind everybody that you're a damn good defense. So I think that was inspiring for the players, and I think they demonstrated it out on that field, because there were some times where the offense, sputtered a little bit, and the defense had to go right back out and, defend a field again, and they did a masterful job. They really did.
I'm actually going to go all the way back to Hard Knocks about a point I want to make here, Chris. Like, in Hard Knocks, we saw McDermott talking, maybe Bobby Babich, talking to the practice squad guys. Like, you got to be ready at any time. You got to be ready no matter what. And here we are, where it's a playoff game, and they have their injuries, and who needs to make a play here or there? We got to catch for Keon Coleman, right? I got Jordan Hancock in the game for Jordan Poyer. The defensive line is kind of shredded by injuries and replacements, and like they're piecing it together with guys that are going in there. And one of those credit to the coaching staff moments, and I'm thinking back to Hard Knocks and their message to their players. Like, they put guys in, and sure, there might be a drop-off in ability, but they make sure they prepare everybody for these games and these moments.
Yeah, and I think one thing that McDermott repeats to his team every week, whether it's early in the season, mid-season, late season, we're going to need everybody in this room. Seasons are longer than ever. You got 17 regular season games. You have 7 playoff seeds now, not 6. Seasons are longer than ever. It's a battle of attrition. And, we're going to see it again this week because, the Bears come up with a big win over the Packers. They lose their left tackle for the year, and I think they lost somebody else that was pretty important too. Are the Bills going to have Poyer? We don't know. So, and Gabe Davis is probably done for the season. So you've got to have some measure of depth. But I will say this, Buffalo's defense has been short on manpower all season long. So this is just customary for them. And you do have to tip your hat to the coaching staff, because I don't know if Sean McDermott's defensive staff has done more with less in their 9-year tenure. And one really cool thing about yesterday that I wanted to mention on the broadcast, and I overlooked it with all that was going on, yesterday was Sean McDermott's 9th anniversary of his hiring.
Oh.
So really cool to get an AFC wildcard win on the anniversary that he was hired as head coach.
And their first road playoff win, obviously, in decades. Lastly, Chris, like if this was a loss, we would be spending a lot more time on this morning. Some of the officiating yesterday. I mean, they called a penalty on Ty Johnson to start the game.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's tough.
The halftime fiasco. I don't know if you have an opinion on that too. But also, like again, if they had lost, I think we would spend more time on it. The holding penalty on Benford late in the game, you were there, so I don't know if you had a different perspective, because on the broadcast, what the replay that they showed looked like nothing. Like I almost had to think, like, did something happen before, or was it a different player? Because that looked like a penalty that didn't exist.
Yeah, it was a ticky-tack call. One of the members of the crew was very flag happy right from the jump with false start penalties and stuff. Now, some of those were legit, but I felt the worst call of the game was at the end of the half.
Yeah.
Eric Wood, my broadcast partner, astutely pointed out, you cannot snap the ball until you have 7 people down in their stance for a second. All your offensive linemen have to be down in their stance for a full second before you can snap it. There is no way anyone can tell me right tackle Anton Harrison was down in his stance before Trevor Lawrence snapped it for a beat. There's no way. And to me, when there are multiple things happening on that play, yes, there are players offsides for the Bills, but when there are multiple things happening within the scope of one play, officiating crews cannot discern and disseminate everything and make a good call. We've seen it multiple times. So if there's more than one thing going on, they cannot disseminate and make the distinction to decide what carries priority and should be the call. It's really disappointing.
Well, that's where it should be up to replay too, and like they're huddling there for so long that I have to think that they're discussing that upstairs. And if you're watching the replays somewhere, how do you not see if that's good info on that rule? Like if it's got to be a full second, at best it's simultaneous, and that wouldn't qualify. And I'm with you, Chris. Like I think he was still moving anyway.
Right. Yeah. Like his hand was barely getting to the ground when the ball is being snapped. So there's no way he's down in his stance for a beat before you snap it. And I understand why Trevor Lawrence is trying to snap it. He sees the clock's winding down, figures he's close enough. Let's hope we get it here. And they did. So that's why when the field goal was missed, I called it sweet justice.
Nice.
Because justice was served there, because that was the wrong call.
Chris, from Jacksonville, Florida to Denver, Colorado. Listen, I know it's not the beach, but Denver gets a lot of sun, and the forecast for Saturday is 55.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thin
as
air.
we know, Denver's kind of a city that gets a lot of early season and late season snow. We're right in the middle, kind of winter right now. So, yeah, I don't believe there's any precip in the forecast
No, it
either.
looks pretty good.
So that's good for all parties involved. You don't want weather to get into a place where it becomes the third factor of the game. So it'd be nice to just let the two teams play it out and may the best team win.
You wouldn't have been there with the team in the COVID year, or would you have?
No, did not travel.
So you haven't been there, what, 20?
Boy,
It's got to be during the drought.
When's the last
right?
Denver trip before that?
I'm gonna look real quick.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
All right.
2014 I got. Does that sound right? Yeah.
Like a Jay Cutler
It
kind
might
of?
be.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been doing this way too long. They all blend together.
That's right.
I still remember sitting with Kawika Mitchell at the hotel bar when we got stuck there because of snow back in Buffalo after a game, and he made quick work of a bottle of Patron. It was impressive.
All right. Well, Chris, thanks for the time. We'll talk Friday. We'll preview the game. The Bills are headed to Denver. We know that. We also know it's on Saturday. We're waiting for the time, and we'll talk then.
All right, sounds good, guys.
Chris Brown joining us on the Wester Hotline. Bills win in Jacksonville, 27-24. Duval.
Yeah, I got
Can't spell Duval without the L.